Good. Either of these have been opened yet? Is there not one on the counter? He's being short, but I feel like he's gonna want one of those, or he's gonna be disrupting a pretty serious topic. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring the computer sometimes a little slow. You see, let me fix this tripod. Becoming more finicky lately. I don't know if I'd say it's usually this slow though. Appreciate your patience. As a doctor and a psychologist and a life coach, well, as a life coach and as a life coach, you know, these fields work together. You know, they connect in some similar ways, right? So now, although I don't have a ton of energy right now, and my I've had a couple different kind of places in my throat. I mean, to be fair, I do live with somebody who I associate with, and we have a dog, and I, you know, live life, although a fairly large portion of it is on here for these days. I've got some busy days coming up, but, you know, I am a live streamer and a content creator, and sometimes it does kind of take and sometimes I don't really notice much from it as far as, like, you know, symptoms like with my hello Ali Abbas with my throat, but I've had kind of two different sensations that are a little bit not ones I have very often. One, it's felt like, although last night, more so on the way there because it was a bit windier on the way to dinner, I actually felt okay, and I was walking in somewhat cold weather, but it's as if, especially for someone who's maybe not in the best of shape, maybe not the worst, but not the best health, it's a sensation where it kind of like in this area where it kind of feels like you've been running in the cold, basically. And then it felt like there was, and I mean, I know that there's some people I've one particular person I think of that I've met that, you know, has went on about similar things, but you know what, maybe there really was something going on, you know, so we have to remember that too. So anyway, so that's the one I'm feeling more so now. There's another, it's about like there's something kind of stuck there, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, but that's not the main theme of this video. I just wanted to kind of put that, you know, at the beginning here. Hello, Madison, how are you? And just gonna make sure that I in this. Sorry, I'm just looking at my other device for a moment. And yeah, and also Almadina Husik, very cool name. Welcome to the channel, everybody. And welcome back, Dustin. Wow. Yeah, I got a lot of activity pretty quickly here in 5 minutes. If you haven't liked yet, please do. Happy Easter to everybody who celebrates. Hello to Krishna. Hey, mate, love from India. Thank you. We have lots of Indian type instruments in our home. keep going on. But by the way, where are you from? Canada. Hi, and then Michaela and Melissa Cardoso. Curious how you're connected. Either way is cool. Suddenly, I was looking at the comments. I had one like. Then I look up, and suddenly there's 5. Very cool. Um, and then I can call you Lily. Okay. That Almadina is your mother's name. Okay. And then there's which is neither the names on your account. So that's anyway, we got 6 likes, and I just want to try and focus a little bit. What I'm having for dinner is pretty much just something I can heat up for the most part. So, hello, depression talk again. Now that's kind of ironic, and I'll tell you guys why. So, a while back, did a video. I was not super new to streaming on this platform, and I don't really use a lot of other ones very much. But I did. Yeah, sorry about that. Anywho, so a while ago I did a video, and trying to recall. I don't know. Well, now it says there's nobody watching, but I don't think that's accurate considering how many people there seems to be here. Either way, though, I don't know how many people believe in the afterlife. I'm curious about that. But also, and I don't remember, it was just talking. And, part of me wants to include, want to add other elements in. I don't know if it's necessary to kind of, and if it's during a live stream, I have, and real talk or depressed talk, I definitely feel you're meant to be here, and likely some of the others here. We got 5 of you here. It is underlying is a very big topic. How is the sound? How is the quality coming through for other people? By the way, I mean, I can try it on my device here for a moment. Let's just see. What I'm having for dinner is pretty much just something I can heat up. I mean, it sounds okay to me. Sometimes lately people have been saying that there's like a buffering issue or whatever. I honestly think it might be more on their end. Just a moment, please. Just one moment, please. I'm going to come into the chat just a moment. But I do feel like this is working for some people because I don't know if it was the title and the highlighted comment or what, but I just tried it. I just tried it on my other device. It seems to be just one moment, please. Appreciate your patience. Okay, so for those that this is working for though, I'm gonna focus on that, and people will hear what they're meant to hear for the most part, I feel like, and play back on a different device for them might be better. I don't know. But so I'm going to talk about the one that I'm most familiar with. You guys can see the highlighted comment, hopefully, okay? And so to kind of get it out a little bit more obviously what it is I'm talking about, I'm just finding this light a little bit bright. I'm just going to turn it down, and the dog wants back in. But if he's not quiet when he gets back in, he's going upstairs. Thank you for your patience, everybody, by the way. So yeah, basically, I'm not even entirely sure this evening what made me think of her. What's that? Okay, just had him in the back, but sounds good. Might be hearing deep topics, but you don't pay attention to it. Anyway, I don't. Anyway, and the real most important thing about it is the talking about the topic at hand, and having dialogue about it. Respecting people's journeys, being strong, and finding the good in life because it's always there. And that should be. Anyway, basically, so yeah, I wish I could remember. Other than that, I haven't even been watching the show lately, and I feel like, well, it's the other way around for the most. Well, I guess it's kind of. I'm watching your comments, both looking at the same, both looking at the same video. But I don't want people to misread that comment. But basically, yeah. So who here watches those singing competition shows? I'm mostly, yeah. I can understand. I'm just trying to focus, and not only keep up with the chat, but just my environment's not that hectic. But no, I mean sometimes I talk fast when I'm passionate about something, and not so much about a particular commenter's awkward energy, which I might be misjudging. It's true, but I mean, no, I definitely advocate for, people say, oh, why do people always suggest breathing, exercises so much? Like breathing is very natural, for people, and like it's not like it's obvious. But no, deep breathing, it is true. And if I felt like I needed to, I would. So thank you, though. He'll be getting his walk shortly, and then he'll get his dinner and me eat. Anyway, deep breathing is an important focused. A lot of us, they say shallow breathe or just do not have good breathing patterns, really. So I don't disagree with you on that. Can we rewind just a little, please, buddy? Why was this good timing me coming into the chat? Well, we're talking about mental health. We're also talking about, or we're going to be, we're also talking about, well, a lot of things. In some areas, I already feel like after seeing your video recently, I feel like you're there, you got it. And a lot of us are, a lot of us don't, for whatever reason. I think being very annoying. Yeah, he is being very distracted. So, just a moment, I'll be back in another 5 minutes. Sorry about that. Okay, now we'll be able to hopefully focus a bit better here. But also, you could say because there was something that you're saying the mind, yeah. There was something that you said in one of your videos that shan't be forgotten or is hard to unhear. And I don't know how many, I mean, I think it's one of those words, whether someone's affected by it or not, they hear it, they should be a little concerned. Or a lot, maybe, I don't know. Sometimes it is, I don't want to use the word attention in the wrong way. Sometimes it is, even if not a very, I'm not saying that you hold back with your feelings or whatever. But even, you know, or that I do for that matter, but sometimes it is kind of a, for lack of a different phrase, cry out for help when you're not doing well. Thankfully, it's actually a lot more brighter in the room. It was too bright with the light on, I felt, but it's not bad on screen, and it's just a little less bright than it looks like on screen in the room. Anyway, but yeah, so basically, you know, and again, it's a journey that, you know, we don't have to like it, but we have to accept when someone does it, and we have to respect their choice, I feel like, and what they were going through. I was exactly like you, and my guru told me I was, no, but I can understand that. I can understand that. But what it is I'm not scripted, and I don't like to be for the most part, because I'm not going to stick to it. I appreciate the conversation. I can't write that in ahead of time, you know. It's just, yeah. I wouldn't say that I am. I had a bit of a distraction in our household briefly, but other than that, and I was, you know, doing some setup things, getting, you know, following on the computer a little bit too, and trying to figure out an audio thing. I mean, and being passionate about the topic. Oh, and show me what I know. What forces? In fact, the other person in the home is quite big about meditation, but I don't use them very often. Although I did the other day with my voice. I had done some streaming. I don't remember what else, but I was like, you know, I was waiting for him to come downstairs. It's like, I can't talk anymore right now. So I'm just going to enjoy one of these mini bowls, you know. Neither. I don't like trying to pre-plan. Yeah, and for me, it just doesn't work. It's difficult also. Yeah, and I have that too. Anyway, but I am trying to be focused on the topic. And if I had that door open, can you? Well, now I'm back over here by the fan. So anyway, my whole life. Now, some people, you know, and I'm not judging it necessarily, but some people use a bit of a exaggerative phrase, like, I would like you to maybe look back and think, was it really your whole life? And I mean, was it all at once too? I mean, because I mean, because I mean, for some people it can kind of happen that way, but for others it's more gradual. Life is its own collection. Okay, I guess so. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm just waiting for the other person in the house to be walking the dog. But anyway, so I don't know who is familiar with. That is bizarre. Just a moment. Just a big gap comment. It doesn't. I don't know if it's just because we learned that with the live streaming earlier with a friend on screen that sometimes devices aren't compatible, but and so I don't know if that's why that big space of nothing. Oh, yeah, it's not exactly nice out, but it's just musical anytime it can be. Doesn't matter, just gloomy or whatever. And that's almost a segue too. So we'll talk about that in a moment. And of course I do, Isabel. I mean, it was just earlier today. Anywho, so I don't know how I might do this just as like 2 sections, and I'm not too sure. Well, why you do something else in between. We're just gonna heat stuff up later, so something like that. Yeah, it's only 6. Anywho, I want people to know who might not be getting this impression that I don't really have, thankfully for the most part, although sometimes I maybe wish it was, you know, a bit more going on, but I mean, it would depend what that is and if it's enjoyable or not. But I want people to know I don't have the most hectic home. So people that don't know that already are, you know, are sitting thinking, how many people are going to be distracting him and this and that? Not many. Just the one that said when he gets back from walking the dog, he's going to go do other things for a bit. And hopefully bring the dog upstairs with you too, because he can be distracting. But hopefully after he's got some exercise, he can be lovely too and everything. Anyway, thank you for all the hearts. Let's try and focus here. So how many of you guys watch the? I guess maybe that could be seen a little bit funny, but you got the idea as far as all the ha-has. So, but it's also mostly intermixed with heart. So maybe there was maybe hit them. How many people they did recently is they showcase people having health issues on stage, and that really doesn't sit well. I mean, part of me thinks that maybe, you know, maybe with that, because I'm a curious sort, and because I don't want to say suggestible, but no, especially because I'm a curious sort, and it's kind of like, oh, what would that look like? Like I'm just wondering, but really, I don't want to know that strongly, But anyway, it's well known that these shows do not seem to have. I mean, Paula. I've always loved Paula on Idol, especially. I don't know what other version she's been on, and I don't mind Sharon Osbourne with and the judgy from here. I'm not going to say that everybody that goes and auditions for these shows has talent. I'm, absolutely not saying that. Bravery, confidence, yes, but as someone who's been musical all my life, and if you follow the channel at all, you know that like just earlier today was a great example. The past two streams that I've done have been especially, I would say especially focused on the music, except for the fact that I had a friend join me on stream for a bit. So we talked a little bit as well, but we also focused on the music because we didn't really have a particular topic. It was just, we'd like to try to meet each other on video for the first time after all these months. And, let's see what we do kind of thing. So you guys can certainly check out that later on the live streams. Just at the beginning, like it was, once we finally got it working, it was probably about, and then we started not live. And then we were talking for maybe 10 or 15 minutes before the first song. I'm glad you enjoyed it though. I need my water. Where's my water? But anyway, but because it's the one I know the most about, that I kind of was reminded of today before browsing and seeing other ones. Depression is an identity integration instinct, like grieving, weeping, and laughter and dreams. Well, it's an interesting thought. Very interesting thought. What is your background, out of curiosity, like other than someone that, and I'm not saying that you're wrong or that you don't have, knowledge behind you, what you're saying. But like, do you work in the field somehow, or is it lived experience? Integration instinct. That is very interesting. I often feel that depression is often situational. I think that a lot of I know that a lot of high schools, my experience in came up with the entire theory of mind. Okay. I feel like a lot of, maybe not so much counselors, because their specialty is or should be, I'm sorry to hear that. Sounds like you're doing better now, though, at least for the most part. So that's good. Should be talk therapy. And there's a lot of power in that for anybody. If anybody has dealt with real full on, well, this is 27 minutes in. We've got great conversation happening. We've got 7 likes. If you haven't liked yet, please do. Really appreciating this. And again, see, I was just going to try and do an upload if I'd had room in my device to do so, but I prefer using the platform's space as well. And I do like the conversation. I appreciate that too. So, first I thought, oh, is that maybe why I should, thinking that, does that mean I should do it that way? And then here I am anyway. So, this might just be part one. It's a big topic. There's a lot of very obvious, simple things about it. Whether you've lived through it, knowing someone who has or otherwise, but honestly and truly, it's still a big topic. with full-on depression, I hope you never take. I hope you never do. That takes you to very dark places. That these figures who have bad day and claim depression. No, it's long lasting. Oh my gosh, that's deep. That's deep. That is a very good point, Harold Fielding. I went to school with a Heidi Fielding, I think. Was it Fielding or Field? Thank you for the ninth like. It was elementary school. She's long since married. I think I do know I did know it when, right, yeah. I've suffered with depression for over 20 years. Had it under control, but like was unintentionally taken. Can you please put it back? If it was intentional, can you say why you took it? Anyway, there's maybe a misunderstanding. You're doing your best. Has in any of my recent ones, and it's not that people are shy. It's just that those particular topics don't really get as much of the attention as some of the other stuff I maybe also put in the videos. So I'm curious how people came across this channel today. And if it's your first time, and all that stuff. Thank you for the 10th like. So yeah, so it's more than just a bad day. It can be situational, and it's yeah. I definitely yeah. I do believe though, and I think there was a 10th like for a moment. At the moment, I don't see it. Remember though that there's lots to enjoy about life too. I'm just going to read some of these. Improvement in some areas of life really do make a difference. It's true. Still on heavy meds for it because I'm a man. Gender doesn't really matter in this. I mean, I know that society, or I know that old school beliefs think so, but not really. I didn't get the same. Yeah, sure. With the screen locked, thank you. My sister is still on heavy meds for it because I'm a man. I didn't do the same help. Life resolved it. Well, at least that happened, all right? And I'd be curious, like I say, to know how. And you said something about a guru, and I'm curious about that. Not a gyro, a guru. And I'm also curious about that statement you made a few comments ago. I know you maybe have kind of elaborated, but the wording was very interesting to me. Hello, Chillin, how are you? Having bad thoughts all the time is really difficult to keep under control. You have turned our illness into an identity, and that is why you're stuck with it. I have? I truly know what I'm talking about, but I'm sorry to hurt anyone. Yeah, just bring him upstairs, please. Thank you. We're aiming for dinner around 7:30, maybe. Yeah. He's not upstairs, which means he's going to be noisy. Thank you. Oh, you're not either. I might heat up a bit more. Although it was quite sweet, and I'd rather have it with food, but it's okay. Okay, the 10th like, again, there's a few people here, so either somebody else put a 10th like, or it came and went a couple times, and I'm curious about that. I'm keeping up as best as, and you and I talked about this not long ago, and for the most part, I'm doing pretty well. For the most part, not entirely, but I've never liked the idea of how they, many on people's problems. Yeah, so I guess you're kind of doing like a slightly interrupted doubleheader, eh? Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Anyway, that 10th like must have been a misunderstanding, or you're just kind of liking and liking as you go along, or what? I'm not sure, but if you could put it back. I mean, I'm happy that there's 9 likes, though. I really am. And hopefully there'll be a few more before we finish, and maybe even after. But yeah, so basically, I never really liked the idea of them making money off of someone's problems. However, if that's where their strength is, if that's where their background is, and we all need a job, we all have to make a living. And it feels much better to be making a living than not that. I mean, if you're getting some sort of financial support, that's something, but it feels much better to make a living than to just, I was going to say get it for doing not much, but it's worth something. and money isn't everything, but being able to get yourself a nice treat, being able to, um, you know, food or, shopping something, it's you know, I think some people that are struggling, um, maybe, aren't doing, get really challenging. Um, I think a key point is, again, so used to seeing certain things that they don't look at the individual before them. How much are they trying to understand? But also to realize they're not living our lives, our lives, you know. So yeah, get out in the world. We are all worth a lot more than we think. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's why I think that it's always important to watch for nuances, to watch, to really try and be aware of other people and uplift them. Some people, need so much uplifting and such that they maybe don't feel like they are in a spot to do it. But it's a basic human trait that all of us have at least a little bit of an ability to do, I think. And it makes everybody feel good. Thank you for the 10th like. It makes everybody feel good, and it just, you know, it should be enough that, you might be able to uplift somebody else, but try it. You might end up feeling uplifted yourself. My friend, if I give you my word, you would not wish for my life. I can talk then. Nobody. It's all sincere. Can't talk that. I'm feeling that you're sincere. I didn't say otherwise. Feeling bad about things, more guilty. What's this cup say again? Your success is found in your daily routine, but sometimes not. But it was a cup I got from a donation place. It was free. Rise and grind. Although it's kind of midday, but anyway, people need to be able to. Okay, feeling bad about things, more guilty, or normal for people. Yeah, there's all these stories. If you don't have them, feelings you would be a bad. Feeling bad about things, more guilty, or normal for normal people. I'm not sure I understand that. If you don't have them feelings, you would be a bad person. Wouldn't be? I mean, just because someone has a mental health issue does not necessarily mean that they are a bad person. I don't know if that's what you're saying, though. People need to be able to open up about depression. We need to beat the stigma. Yeah. And I think that we are making progress in that, of men not talking about feelings because it's weak. It's human to have feelings and to go through struggles. I thought of this before I started rolling. I thought anybody who goes through life unscathed, I mean, it's just not possible. I mean, either that or they're very much being a hermit, and even then, and they're very, they're other, but it shouldn't be our goal, right? Like we should all be knowing how it can feel, or imagining how it could feel. We should all be wanting better for each other, for sure. And I'm not saying anybody in here in the chat or watching isn't. I'm just, um, being able to talk about feelings is a strength. Being able to go through the redundancy, being able to go through the repetitive. I stopped calling hotlines ages ago. And in some ways, maybe I am doing a little bit better. I also live stream a lot more and have been forming, more community. But gold ribbon, tire yellow ribbon. Ironic. Anyway, that was just randomly on the floor. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it just felt like, sometimes it was helpful what I would say. Sometimes it was helpful what they would say, but they don't know my life. No counselor, unless you've been seeing them for a long time and they are good at what they do, truly knows your life like you do. You're living it, your individual life, and all in it. But it's kind of like, yeah, it's, um, um, it's kind of just becomes very kind of, it's amazing. I think kind of once, sometimes twice a day, almost every day. It really is. I mean, but again, people come into the conversation, and that helps with the content. Time to write quite a bit in the comments, and I don't want to be ignoring that. If you have been stuck with depression whilst trying to treat it for 2 decades, it is because it has become respectfully. You have been stuck with depression, chopstick of here, chopstick of that, whilst, there's that word, it came up earlier today, trying to treat it for 2 decades. It's because, it can be. It can become, a vivid identity. Chillin'. They would like to think that depression would be, this is interesting. The entire human mind is organized by a central principle, identity. It is everything. I have literally cracked depression humor theory. That's good. Do you post, Russell? Because I'd like to check out your channel more specifically. I know Depression Talk does. Some people are more like viewers and commenters, but this isn't, and I'm still developing it. So what kind of work do you do, Russell, out of curiosity? There's no cure for depression, and it's definitely not my daddy. They kept it under control for the majority of the time, but it's come up to the surface here and there. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're, I mean, if we're talking like, doctors or whatever, that, again, it's never going to be my intent to tell people go off meds. I will, however, share my feeling about what I think about meds and how they aren't for everybody. And it's a lot of experimenting. It's chemical. I mean, some might be better than others, and more healthy to take than others. But, it's not, and again, like I say, if somebody's on meds that are working, and it's the thing that's helping them the most. Some people will say it's a combination of different things that you bring into your life that help the most. But honestly, and I'm not disagreeing with that either. But I would say that hopefully you can't hear the radio too loudly. I just wanted a bit of background noise. Yeah. I may have lost my train of thought there, but I would say that things help, like watching helpful media, whether it's like feel good, make us sometimes forget those things, because sometimes distraction is okay. Too much avoidance and too much distraction from those things is, not going to be helpful in the long run, of course. But it's about the balance, I would say, and music, whether you play it or listen to it, and a variety of it, is also, there's genetics. There's also, life is always going to have moments. But yeah, and some of us are just, not to use the word negatively, but we're just a little bit more sensitive to the things that we go through in life. Whereas other people could say, okay, I can move on from that now, or no big deal, or whatever else, not just make it a statement just like that. What depression is natural mechanism triggered by a general sense of social isolation. I'm still, Jillian, I already know that. But if I don't already know, feel free to say. Natural mechanism triggered by a general sense of social isolation, which then seeks further isolation. Natural mechanism triggered by general sense of social life that maybe you used to live, or the things that, and I think whenever possible, we should try and continue to do those things. But again, not always easy. I'm just gonna chillin'. Can we people be on the watch for somebody? Well, no, I'm just gonna put it in the comments. Although there's quite a lot of activity, and I'm not too sure if they would notice. Just someone whose comments only ever show on the computer. Okay, so I think I'm getting caught up. One, no, two views. I think I'm getting caught up, but I at least want to get a start on the other topic. Like, I guess he's doing a double fitness session, and then we'll eat. It's fine. Um, um, so yeah, aspect of life. And I think that a lot of medical professionals don't understand it because, um, well, first of all, it's just such a prevalent thing. Second of all, even people that are getting and trying different medications, a lot of them are still struggling. And why is that? Because we're not dealing with what they're at, we're not looking at what they're actually going through. Um, just happened to glance at the computer for a moment. Thank you for the 11th like. Again, can't stay long just saying I'm still alive. Thank you for letting us know. You know, I'm one that, you know, obviously you're one of the people that's important on the channel here. And I am one that sometimes worries, you know, when I haven't heard from someone for a while. Um, I'm not going to say that I wasn't at all. That would be untrue. However, I've been so distracted with my other connections and, you know, the things that I have upcoming in my schedule. I hadn't thought about it often, but happy Easter to you and your family. God bless. I know that resonates with you, and thank you for stopping in. You shouldn't. It's supposed to be a holiday Monday as well. Anyway, so let's see here. Um, I want to eventually segue, but I understand this is a big topic. You respectfully disagree with what? Depression? And I appreciate how you said it that way. I know, I'm sorry, I've just been so busy lately. Like, my birthday is in 9 days, but happy birthday in advance. Oh, bunny, an Easter bunny. How ironic. Anyway, what point were you saying? You have to because your mind will not allow you to believe about it. Have to what? Hmm. Natural parts of life while trying to not off yourself is how it works. It helps to know to always love yourself no matter what. But you must be able to face hard truth to go through it. So long as you have personal truth, you won't now truth. What does that mean? It's the only remedy. You have no idea how far. Kate, you may have went to bed. That's fine. I don't believe you did. Hope we didn't upset anybody too much. But it was necessary. If you want a cheap, quick fix for depression, see occasion another place. Well, not always easy to do though. You know, you can't always do that. I think that it would be something that I would like to do occasionally, but yeah, better than pills from doctors that have zero clue what depression even. And they should by now, right? They really should. Listening, enjoying the conversation, but going for walkies. I am in your pocket with headphones. Who knows what it might be pressing in your pocket, but that's interesting. The way of life that created them. Might need you to elaborate on that one. So, now, after I take a sip of water, I thought there was still a lot more, but hey, no, you guys have been making a very great and important conversation. You have been, you know, some of you might be better typers than others, but no, you guys are all very well spoken, writing your comments very well in nice depth. We're having a intellect. Bottles are handy. It's like a lid that kind of, you know, doesn't fall off. Anyway, but as some of you may have noticed, I put in the title about chapstick if you're curious, chapstick if you're not, anemia. And I kept kind of alluding to these singing shows. And like one video I looked at, looks like I had watched some of it in the past. There was another video that was kind of quite informative too, except for the fact that there was something it said in it that at the moment I can't remember, and I didn't agree with it. But you know, we won't agree with everything. But it was otherwise, you know, fairly informative. Basically, does anybody know the name Ariel Burdett? All organisms are built for the way of life. We are organisms in a scientific way. Sometimes it seems like it's becoming more so, and we all know what I mean by that. And we wonder what's with us, society and civilization, and there's always exceptions, gray area, that kind of thing. So, Aria Burdett that I was asking about. Okay, some of you will know her from a show that. And she auditioned. And if I was to replicate it, try replicating it a little bit. Well, I do have that one, but it doesn't look quite the same. Basically, and this is where the performer and the reenactment. Because the one thing I'm thinking of showing doesn't really. But this is where it's going to get especially kind of extra interesting. A new element I might introduce to it here. All about that. In some ways, which is why I might do one similar to this of the other ones. I just wish that. Okay, and I did just watch it. I continued from where I watched it months ago, I think. But I mean, she's very beautiful. I like her sweater too, which kind of looks like a turtleneck, and I don't understand how anybody finds those comfortable, but whatever. What I just would like to do is one simple practice that perfectly correlates with the theory. Yeah, and look, you don't have any channel content. Maybe you could post a video of yourself talking about some of this stuff, though, like in your own, content. Every day, realistically write down any random fears, resentments, then destroy them. Yes, I've heard of this before. Months you feel, notice something change. Hopefully. Sorry. And hopefully you guys would work with me on this. Although I guess it's true. I can't do anything if people are going to kind of come in while I'm doing this. But exactly is said and covered in this video. Like I have a general idea, a gist of it that I want to reference here. Normally I wouldn't do videos necessarily quite like this, but so I'm almost tempted to ask the two of you that are here now to leave and come back in 5 or 10 minutes so that I can watch this myself. I could watch it with headphones on, but I'm not really, and that's because of the. I'm not really one for. I hope I don't get to eat later. I don't really find headphones all that comfortable. It's amazing. I actually like wearing hats because I can be sensitive to the way things feel, like to the touch or whatever at times. But that's one thing I will say is that it's interesting because, and I've watched mostly reenactments. I've watched things about this Aria Burdett lady before, and I thought, she's a little bit eccentric. I thought, she does have a good range. She's unique, and she made good points on the show, like when she says, first of all, I'm not a number, I'm a person, because the contestants all get a number. I mean, it's not untrue. And just her perspective, the way that she introduced herself, which some contestants do more than others. She was British, I believe, so she would have had. Okay, it looks like maybe they did do that. At the moment, it doesn't look like there's anybody here. I guess it did ask.
The series was so entertaining, especially the auditions, because it was set up in a way to bring out the.
Just a moment here. That is the thing. Although, yeah. So basically, who do we have watching right now? Out of curiosity, is it somebody that's already in the chat, or is it somebody that's just tuning in now? Out of curiosity. That's not the video I thought it was. Sorry, this one. Okay, actually, it looks like maybe nobody. monetize this in case, people felt it helped them so much that they wanted to donate. No, I'm not doing this for the money, but at the same time, who dislikes it, right? Not me. I don't dislike it, which is pretty much what I said the first time I realized. What I might do is
The real story.
maybe
When you know that she went in there saying that she was the best because she was coached to do so. Debbie was.
oh, really? So yeah, just the way that some of these shows kind of operate. I guess some people would say it's staged, but no, I truly believe that Ariel, she, went into it confident, quirky as she is, and she, sang something that she created to stand out because she had that creative spark in her that went beyond just singing. And, whoops, sorry about that tripod thing. And, people said that, like she's still very, or at least she certainly, was for quite a long time beyond her audition. Sometimes maybe not for the most positive reasons, where they kind of, sorry, I'm just a bit chilly. They kind of, people think that she was weird. I mean, yeah, she was quirky. There's lots of quirky people in the world. I mean, she was confident to a point where some people may have thought that she was aggressive or whatever. But I think maybe some people aren't used to seeing confidence in others. They're not used to necessarily having it themselves. Yeah. And although she only, and whether she said more in person or not, she only listed one person who she's vocally taught. I mean, the band was fairly famous, and a lot of people still this band. I mean, yeah, lots, I know. But who are you and what do you do? Hello, Nick Smith. Well, we talk about wellness. We talk about psychology. I do music. I'm a holistic coach, like Ariel said, but not necessarily a vocal coach, although I am musical. So yeah, because she had that as her experience, as her work experience, whether it was true or not, who knows? And I guess she does, and some other people might. Nice. Now, how did you get? Well, I guess you were scrolling through live streams. I mean, I don't know. I didn't. But welcome. Anywho, so basically, she. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought, but that's okay. Dude, you're awesome. Don't forget to like, because I think already 11 likes were there. This Sylvie Explorers. Thank you for saying I'm awesome, by the way. I'm just being me. I'm just being what comes natural to me, but that is awesome from time to time. You're right. I do my best. Excuse me. Yeah. What did that say again? Out of curiosity. You didn't hit my screen and put your face onto it. On that, and not to say that her disorder is who she is, but honestly, an orientation, a disorder, a religion, whatever, they all make up who someone is. Some people don't like labels. As far as I'm concerned, if the person likes and accepts the label for themselves, sincere, it feels trustworthy, and you're kind. I am sincere. I try to be trustworthy. I am kind. You got it on all three. I appreciate it. And you seem to be the same. So thank you. Keep up the Keep up the good work. And again, it's one of those statements. I mean, you're probably fairly naturally that way, and it probably came from lived experiences and the things you've been through, right? So, I mean, I understand that too. Um, um, a thought just occurred to me. The judges on those shows, they see than anything, to be honest. I really don't know. No, I'm genuinely. You're joking. I think you're joking because you were mentioning humor earlier. Um, and I would hope you're joking because, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, now, and some of you may have just gotten here. I don't know. There's 3 of you it's saying at the moment. Has anybody that's watching right now seen this audition of which I speak of? The world needs 1 or 2 sincere assholes. I just don't want people to misread that comment. I think that it mostly is humor, after a heavy topic. I would hope so. But and I see a little bit of our morals and our the goodness that's within us, and put that there for ourselves and for anyone that we come in contact with, because that's what the world needs, Anyway, first of all, this is a fairly decent spot to have paused it on. So the woman that I was referring to, this isn't her, although I'm sure that she shows it. This is her kind of talking about this person's audition, talking about what happened, not right away. It sounds like this person was struggling with mental health issues. Then she maybe got a little bit better, had some everybody, but by many, and then had some struggles in life. That medication either didn't help or what have you. And it sounds like she had also had a traumatic dream, basically, and where when she woke up, her mother was actually shoving meds in, watching so many other things later, and I'm sure I could come across it again, and I don't know. I mean, but we're talking about it here and now, so anyway, and basically where it gets real deep, examine. I would hope they clean it up first, but then it's not exactly as it looked initially. But they're able to examine or whatever. I'm not exactly sure. And anyway, and you can find stuff, and what I really liked, there was one other video plus this one, was that they spoke about her legacy, was that they spoke about, mental health and how important it is to speak about. They spoke about, well, let's just see here. Well, if they're told to be confident, I don't normally do video reviewing things. Then, I mean, first of all, maybe they are confident. Second of all, is that a bad thing? But I mean, again, maybe some people have too much confidence. I don't know. It's interesting because people, maybe because they relate to the person and they're curious, they kind of look into things a little bit sometimes. But when we relate to someone, when we resonate with them, when we like them, whether they make it very far in a competition show like this or not, it's kind of like, we do sometimes wonder, how are they doing? Are they, do they have interesting content to check out, or are they doing a completely different path in their life, or what? And then, you find out things, and then especially when this person's legacy, really, it's the person's legacy that they, not that they're the only person struggling with mental health, they may, or even the only person that auditions on these shows, but they stand out and are remembered. You know what? For their uniqueness, for their bravery. Um, uh, what I'd really love to do, because I have to run upstairs for under 5 minutes in a moment, what I'd really love to do is have this playing while I go upstairs. Um, um, and the question is, do you want it facing the direction it's facing now, or would you rather see the kitchen? In fact, I may have just answered that question. Although, actually, no, that's not going to, right, I'm be showing the screen. But there might, well, and it's on the laptop. I don't know if there'd be much of a background or not. I have to get a phobia of being on camera. Oh, because I'd mentioned that earlier, okay, and again, into that. Um, but I'm sorry to hear that you've been through that. I mean, I'm sure you're a really looking fella, but I'm sorry to hear that you've, yeah, but you know what? We all have lookalikes, you know, and the majority of people want to go see it. And oh, did you? And it's on your page. That's exciting. Anyway, so yeah, but I know I'd asked about you posting a video as well, so feel free to check that out. And it sounds like Ryan may have released a song a little bit earlier than he thought he would. And hello to Caden Hyman as well. Glad to have you here. You weren't here very long earlier. I don't know if what G was doing was your kind of thing or not. You must admit it was a pretty unique version of that song, right? Okay, I don't use that site. I don't even think G does. So unfortunately, well, I hope you can get it on YouTube, basically, or maybe Facebook, so that we can check it out. Because yeah, I don't know though if I have to have an account to be able to view it. But anyway, Caden, are the rest of you watching? The other roommates, band members watching at the moment, or and also I was trying to tell you earlier, but I don't know if you gathered it. I didn't think to mention it at first, but okay. Well, hello to all of you. I saw your live stream that you guys did, where you were all cozy on the couch and reading the comments and all that. Really, all this time you don't have one. Okay, well, keep us posted about that. I know your name's kind of common, your full name, but try and figure it out. Anyway, but yeah, I was saying one point in time I almost had, I was in a relationship, and if it had went longer, we would have probably had kids, and I had been thinking about naming one of them Cadence, so similar to your name. And then Jordan Gary, I think, was the other one, or Evan Gary. But yeah, so anywho, so what we're talking about in this one is mental health. We're talking about creative types. We're talking about people that go and audition for certain shows, and then maybe aren't as understood as they could have been. You were just reacting to something funny that I'd said, and even though now I'm back on the serious topic, maybe you unintentionally retracted that. Also, if the others would like to follow on their own devices and give a like, we're getting close to 17. I'd like to get past numbers now. Yeah, and they're welcome to subscribe as well. You all seem like great guys. Yeah, I'm really happy to see that, even though you're only in your 20s, I think most of you, thank you for the 14th like, that you're all doing very well. Doing tours. I'm thinking I might want to buy one of your hoodies at some point. Welcome back, Jillian. And I hope that you tour within Canada at some point. It's really nice to see, being in a band. I've only been in a band. I was in a band in high school that had, well, we had two different drummers at different points of time. We had an occasional person that sang with us, but there was, I think, 3 or 4. And that was really just in high school. Talent shows, fashion shows. They're going to talk to you, like in the comments. Okay. Anyway, basically, so it wasn't, I don't know, maybe, I mean, it was a band, but maybe it wasn't to the extent that a lot of it could have been. It's not always the easiest thing, but when you get along, when you uh, do your best to do so. I mean, one of them you said is your siblings, and the other one you've known for a long time. And yeah, Ryan is. Oh, really? Is there another season of it? I didn't know that. I've always loved Paula. I really have. Randy's pretty cool too. The other ones are a bit more hit and miss. But let's be honest. Some people aren't that great musically. Okay, or they do have, you know, maybe it's just a slight attitude adjustment. The rest is confidence. The rest is personality. But I mean, honestly, you know, but on those shows, and I go through spurts watching them. I haven't watched a lot of them lately. Um, Anywho, we got 4 of you here. I can guess who 2 of them are. Ryan said he's got to go. Really, that's old school. I didn't know anybody still had that. Bunny ears on Easter makes sense. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, and yeah, and I really appreciate the members of the band. You're all in a video. That was just it was very relaxed, very chill, and yeah. So Ariel. Like I say, I might do one on Debbie and Mary later, but and that girl who I can't remember her name right now, but she was kind of a hippie, and she was actually pretty good. And I don't really know why they didn't like her. I mean, seriously, I've been musical all my life. There are different ways to interpret and do a song and make it unique and still sound good, or sing it pretty spot on. And then there are some that, maybe they need a little bit of vocal coaching. And then there are some that really just aren't that great, and that does not mean that they're not great people, that they don't have worth in most cases. But, sometimes the judges aren't wrong, that singing isn't for them. Yes, it's fun and makes good couch potato time. Anyway, but yeah, so anyway, she goes into this and she says, I'm a holistic vocal coach, and I'm not mocking her at all, of course. Anyway, and they're like, okay, what does that mean? I'm a vocal coach, and I teach holistically. And then I take into account people's emotions and whatever else she said, 2 or 3 other things. I did just watch that back again tonight. I'm obviously tired. I hope I still have enough energy to eat later. But anyway, I do have to run upstairs for under 5 minutes in just a moment. But anyway, what ended up happening is something very unfortunate again. While live, because there's 2 of us that use this channel, and one of us, and it's no contest who's had a harder one, but, and he's a bit older than me. Also, Caden, are you still there? Happened earlier too. You came in almost at the same time, and you're both musical. And then, but I do understand. Ryan has a lot going on, and I know that there was something that we didn't quite see eye to eye on a little while back, not long after after he'd seen a few videos. I'm thankful he's looked past that, and he's fairly regular to the channel, so that's very, very cool. Anyway, basically, but yeah, so basically. If while it's live, for the most part, if someone is being true and genuine, because they shouldn't be joking about it, is saying that, they are, contemplating taking the life or whatever, not or whatever, that, I can try and be there as a life coach and try and help them, maybe out of some of those feelings. I keep looking at this shelf, and it really is a little bit in need of an organization. Anyway, but afterwards, we wouldn't want comments in that area of things because, I don't think he's looking often, but he does look sometimes. I look like I want to be British. How so? Well, I have a lot of UK followers. It's not the worst thing to be, and it depends on the British person. How do you know I'm not British? Although I'm not, I guess I don't sound British. Right. Okay, got it. I want to be a lot of things, but one day at a time, right? Anywho, but yeah, so Caden, are you still there? Chilling. I don't know if it's my hat. I don't know if it's my person. I don't want to say it's a personality. Am I a singer? Yes, I am musical. What gave you that impression? But I'm not a British singer. I'm a Canadian singer. Canadian singer and universal singer. I'm kidding. Sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. But anywho, so yeah. But back to the seriousness of it. So, although honestly, I've been talking for an hour and a half. It's not the first stream I've done today. I'll probably have more coffee with it. That means I've had 2 tonight, or almost 2 full cups, which is a little bit rare. I don't think it's just a combination. Although maybe the ginger helped a little bit. I had a very interesting ginger orange tea last night. I don't drink a lot of tea, and it wasn't. What I noticed most was the ginger, and I just don't think I like ginger, the flavor of it, especially in tea. Yes, it was. You didn't think I actually was, it sounded like. So I'm confused. Anyway, I'm talking my natural way of talking. I don't think I have an accent right now, or I don't think, I have an accent. But anyway, part of the matter being, yeah, so anyway, but I find that it actually makes, and it's not, even when I'm not doing as much talking or streaming, I find it actually kind of makes my throat kind of more irritated. So anyway, but we don't have a lot of tea because we don't drink a lot of tea. If I'm going to drink any tea, it's usually red rose or orange pekoe, and we don't have that. So maybe we should put it on the next shopping list. Anyway, so back to Ariel for a moment. And I did kind of speak about this a little bit earlier. So it sounds like she took a life. Okay, she gained a lot of weight, mostly due to medication. She started to struggle with her mental health again. What's interesting is I think it said that she was on the show in 2008. She passed away in 2019 or 2018, I think. So missing the pandemic. This will confirm this. This video that I have open will confirm this. But I mean, for the things that this lady already says, it could save me saying it, because I'd say it the exact same way probably. So let me just see here for a moment. That's really nice, though. For some reason, on the show, she went by Ariel. Her actual name is Amy, and because that was her preference, that's what this lady is saying she's going to call her.
For the X Factor UK and
I like the herbal teas with honey. Honey goes, honestly, mellows it out and not adds more sugar to it. So I don't know. Yeah, see, now it says there's nobody here, but that comment just came in, so there's at least one of you here. Yeah, it was one of the most talked about auditions of the entire series. The name Ariel Burdett. Some of you will know that I use sometimes, and I once did. Just once though, and I don't have the energy to do it right now. Her hair was just dreadlocks. She was like a bohemian. It's not that unusual. What was a little unusual is she kind of had not that kind of hair underneath it, which was I'm just quickly processing the next part of this. And that's the hard part. Sometimes, I'm mostly watching this quietly, and while I, if there's I might put it into this, but other than that, yeah. So, sometimes people, they have an opinion and then they don't change it. But I kept finding white feathers recently too. This was on the ground earlier. I don't know where it came from. I've never seen it, but it makes me think of tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, which the song B quite likes. That might be actually a bit more gold, but it's very interesting. I don't know. I feel like there's some sort of symbology connected to it, but I don't know what that is at the moment. Um, yeah. So that was, I think, the thing that that video had said was that was it a character to go negative, and that conditioning and just life can make us kind of conditioned in that way. It seems like, or to focus, like her upbringing. Like I don't know if it was this video or the other video talked about that she had a one parent with mental health issues, and one or two abusive and then slightly absent parents. Also, not a very strong family system. I mean, those things do affect a person, and some of us more so than others. Um, I guess like I had one of my parents till just about 12 when he passed away, and I had, but then many years later, I started to feel kind of connected in a spiritual sense. And then my mother has mostly been a good one, but she has some emotional toxic traits which were hard to deal with at times. We actually had some distance from each other for about 2 or 3 years. No, 2 years about, and we've reconnected again. Like I say, it'll be a whole thing to deal with whenever she passes away, if she has a funeral, because there would be some potentially awkward run-ins that I would have to figure out. Um, but she might not have one. I mean, eventually she will, but it necessarily, or maybe that waiting for a loved one to return part. Um, but anyway, so yeah, so basically, um, but things have been really nice. I mean, I was telling someone recently that we went out for lunch, her and I, or just not that loud. There was only like 2 or 3 tables that had about, one had 4 people at it, one had maybe 5 or 6. Um, and we've just really been enjoying being around each other lately. It's always that, oh, is something going to happen again? And it's like, okay, this connected to the other stuff that I haven't forgiven, haven't forgotten, but am looking past. Okay, it's life, permanently, and I'm sure she's very thankful that I'm back in it. um, but anyway, so we've been reconnected again. For the most part, we see each other once every once or twice every couple of weeks, approximately. We have some digital communication, but not much. But she's, um, and yeah, it's mostly been really nice. It's like I feel like we have a whole different kind of connection with each other. Um, and when we went out for lunch, yeah, I was looking at what I had on my phone or whatever, and just kind of looking at my phone. And actually, I remember there was one time I looked up at her, and she was just sitting there with the most peaceful, relaxed, kind of happy look on her face. And well, it's hard not to hold on to it, and some of them, are really hard to get past. But at the same time, when you don't have a lot of family, and she's local, she's living, and not only is that helpful when I need rides, but you think about her, we think about our parents' upbringing sometimes. And even though we might have known our grandparents, as I knew her parents, and didn't think they were bad people, they were Scottish. They were a little stern. They were a little strict at times. And I will never forget, one of the things that she told me was that she moved out at 18 as soon as she could. I think she moved in with a roommate too, but it's kind of like, and I'm sure that, definitely it wasn't the worst living experience. My grandparents are not bad people. They're not aggressive people. Neither set, but her parents. But and when you're a teenager, and it's weird to think of our parents as teenagers or whatever, right? But like she maybe wanted that independence. She's a fairly independent person. Uh, you know, for the most part. But like anybody, we're all human. We need other people sometimes as well, right? But anyway, so basically, yeah, basically, I don't think that they were terrible people, but I think, maybe they had certain rules in the house that that she didn't like or understand at that time, and maybe there was some arguments around those because she can be a little argumentative at times. Anyway, point of the matter is, but yeah, so I mean, but anyway, I diverged there. Um, but um, but anyway, so one of the things that she mentions here is that the show may have contributed to Ariel doing this, and that, and again, if you're catching this when this is not live and you're seeing this far in, um, or yeah, basically, there may be certain days like I'm pretty tired right now where I don't feel like I have the capacity to really be of much help, but I can tell you this much. If you try hard enough, it's out there. Again, understand the struggle, understand that you wouldn't be being selfish, and respect your choice either way. But I'm certainly advocating for you to try to keep pushing to live life, and appreciate the good that is in it, whether it's people that you have in your life, people that you meet or could meet that you could possibly influence, people that dogs, a friend's dog, a family member's dog, going up for a walk and maybe stopping someone saying, "Is your dog friendly?" And then visiting with their dog, volunteering. I mean, I know sometimes, that volunteering, sometimes it's hard to find, where, what, is there a need? Is it accessible? Those kind of things. But than others, and people have things going on in their life. But it's a very than others, and people have things going on in their life. But it's a very interesting thing that I just thought of mentioning there. So there you have it. But yeah, just like that one song that I've mentioned a couple times and done recently, we don't have to forget or forgive, but we can sometimes, but one thing I worry is like it's going to make it harder when she does pass away because now things are better. And so I appreciate that, obviously, right? I don't know if this is the same post that the other video mentioned. And again, I don't know if this is the same post that the other video mentioned. And again, I don't do these kind of videos very often. And we really, again, and there's one of you here right now, and I'm thinking it's chilling. I mean, maybe there's other people that it's not indicating, but so, really, like seriously, maybe you can put a little as a mod, or even if you hadn't been a mod, Dylan, maybe you can put a little note in there and then either pin it or I can if you don't know how to. I'm not doing anything bad in showing this content. It's just to kind of help add some dynamic to this message, and also to give me a little bit of a chance to rest for a moment. You can put this in to the best words you can. Some people, like we almost did one recently. Orientation is who I am. It's not an unimportant aspect to me. It doesn't not matter to me. And we should all be proud to be who we are if it's a good thing that isn't doing anybody else harm. But at the same time, I didn't think, that the thing that this Elizabeth lady wanted us to do, that it was an important thing to mention in doing it, and honest. And it wasn't just about the sport. There was other things that would have been mentioned in it as well. Maybe we should have done it, but if she was insistent on using her fancy lighting, that I don't think was necessary, and more equipment than I think is necessary, I would have been annoyed by that. I would have been sensitive to it. So it is what it is. Anyway, so yes, if you can put, but like, just, reviewing content or footage within footage. What I'm trying to get at here is that, to spread the message important to, respect people's content, to be doing it with good intent, and I would say usually permission, although I think that this person, I think I did look, and hello, Sally Farrelly, how are you? I think I did look, and she hasn't posted anything in a number, sorry. I have one of those very bendy ones, and even though I got it, did something to get it to kind of hold shape for a little while, it's sometimes still a little bit particular. Sorry that you're tuning in a moment where I'm just kind of resetting the scene. Where are you watching from? How'd you come across the channel? And really glad to have you here. Yeah, I didn't know exactly what, and if anybody knows her, again, Chillin, please put that message that, that I'm, I'm just, using this as kind of a, anyway. And basically what I'm saying is I don't think that she's posted recent enough from what I remember seeing that I think she'd be reachable anyway. And I'm really just showing a snippet. So this is where she's about to read a post that Ariel herself made.
Stage character whom I contrived to take the piss out of the commercial and academic music industries because they are extreme and out of touch with grassroots music making and totally at odds with one another. I want you to understand that the way I behave in everyday life is a far cry from the common nemesis of Ariel, whose actions developed from the worst of my experience of humanity. As someone who's immersed herself in the world of Amy for weeks now, I feel like I understand what she was trying to do and say. She wanted to bring attention to the absurdities that commercial music has turned into in a way that was viewed as rebellious but funny. Unfortunately, it just came off as a short-tempered firecracker with crazy hair. Some people say she knew what she was signing up for, but that's only true to an extent. It's easy to understand now in 2024 how something can exist forever on the internet, but back then we didn't think like that. When you picture the worst-case scenario of signing up for a show like this, it would be like, I might embarrass myself, I'd look dumb for a second, but I've got thick skin and my loved ones will still be here. Everyone will forget in a year and it'll be fine. You don't expect 20 years down the road to still be dealing with assholes. Hell, I thought I knew how much hate they dealt with, but until I started my Where Are They Now series, I had no idea that it was as bad as it was. The vile things that are said to them are things that most of us couldn't even come up with in the darkest, most demented corners of our minds. Like, it's worse than that. And because these auditions go viral over and over again, in some cases, the comments get worse because the contestants get older. Some contestants.
This part that I'm playing right now, Sally, are you still there? Chilling. This part that I like how this looks actually. I still think it's probably. Oh no, it might be just past. Let's think about the halfway mark, but look at all the space that hasn't been played yet. That might be just past where I watched it months ago, and then I don't know why I wandered off. I may have been briefly away when that part was there. And isn't that a lovely sweater and an interesting wall? Eh? I don't know if I like this part, but but anyway.
Babies or they get normal jobs or heaven forbid they gain weight, like they can't age at all because then you're always comparing them
to this is the part I watched today. So
the person that they were 15 years ago. So as time goes on, comments get meaner and just
Chillin, you didn't put that comment in. That assistant as a mod that I asked if you could please. I know you've been trying to keep up and maybe otherwise distracted. Are you watching with anyone? Because sometimes you are. And is there anybody else here that I could? Yeah.
Did not know what they were signing up for. Stop saying that. That would be difficult for even the most sane and well-grounded person. So imagine how hard.
Can you hear this? Okay.
With multiple mental disorders. Amy suffered from several, and of course, I couldn't know which ones for sure without seeing her medical documents. I can infer from what I've learned that it included depression, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia, along with some physical ailments as well.
Wasn't quite what I was more so about using this, mentioning this footage is what I was kind of meaning. But that's interesting that's the point, unless that's what she was just saying while I was briefly away. That's interesting that's the point that you that you brought in, but I mean, again, that's not untrue, is it? Yeah, no, it sounds fishy to me. But no, it was more about the footage. But I guess if anybody says anything about it at this point, since I'm back, I can say something. You can hear this okay, hopefully? I like those buttons.
Because she described having unexplained pain and not being able to walk sometimes. She's photographed in a wheelchair. There isn't a lot.
So you were familiar with this audition then, eh? It sounds like it. And yeah, I do like it. Yeah. Did you know you were going to watch a video about this thing? No, but do we ever know what we're going to watch videos about sometimes? Well, I guess, maybe. But anyway.
Audition, and even after, it didn't seem like she had much family in her life, but she did have.
I did tell G, by the way, that we'd be heating up dinner in about half an hour. So there's about 5 more minutes left of this. And I've been going on about this I've been kind of doing this stream for so long that I think I'll figure out a way to wrap it up and we'll go from there. Whether there will be a part 2 or I'll do one of the other ones later or something to do, until the busier days this week when there's got a couple of things on it, and then we can start to get busier, but I'll still have, some time. But
some friends that she regarded as family. Her mother did handle her funeral arrangements, so clearly there was a good relationship there. Although not a lot is known about their childhood, the little glimpses that we do get paint a rather dysfunctional picture. Like this post from Amy, I've had the most extraordinary nightmare. I dreamed that.
Yeah, that's the thing I was alluding to earlier.
My consultant was there. She told me that I had a new doctor who was an ugly old man and that I had to have new medication, the name of which I didn't recognize. It came in a purple tie silk box with gold on it.
That was probably
She
just what she was going through.
and I was dancing with the ugly man. My mother, who has a history of abusing me, was there. The drunk Magneto was there, and then I awoke as my mother was pinning me down and grinding pills into my teeth like she used to do to the cat. It's all. Wait. You awoke to your mother grinding pills into your teeth?
Now, at first, when I heard that, I thought she was saying, well, yeah, because you wake up from a dream. But then, no, she makes a good point.
That wasn't a part of the dream. Her mom was actually shoving pills into her mouth. I'm surrounded by my mother's schizophrenia and psychopathy as she was in the house today. I feel awful. I daren't go back to bed. The generalized stress of tribunals in the mental system, trying to get my
I'm glad there was a bit of pre-stuff. That was nice.
Instead of being forced to take medication due to
added some communication and
my mom has told about me is really wearing on me. I feel so broken down and like I can't take any more, and I have to see my lawyer in less than 12 hours. Just exhausted mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and so sad for losing my partner. I really need a hug. This tells me a few things.
Basically, yeah, she just did. I want to hear some. You want to hear me? Act like you're so me. I mean, only people that can carry a tune could do that. I mean, seriously.
It tells me that her mental struggles are like.
Hence why I did it so well.
Passed down through her family, and being the child of someone with schizophrenia and psychopathy was likely very turbulent. It may have come with some abuse and mistreatment.
So see, I mean, you don't need to know this, Jillian. You might be. I saw it's been a. Okay, the second person. Empathy, the power of empathy.
Created some PTSD, which she felt at the time was being masked by medications rather than properly addressed. She must have gone through quite a journey with different medical professionals and trying to find the right balance of medications. I don't think she ever did, honestly. You can hear this already. With the police, which sparked a bit of a conspiracy theory because she was accused of harming one, and she made a video and posted it to her YouTube.
This I didn't quite understand.
Why she's innocent, and it was the last video that she even posted on her YouTube.
I want to prove
beautiful woman, I think.
I
they both were, to be honest.
Sarah and bruised him to the point where he was black and blue within an hour.
She must have made a call.
And she did have a YouTube channel. Didn't have a lot on it, but it's very kind of avant-garde, folky, like, maybe it wasn't right for that show, but if they had a bit more diversity, and they do have, it would have been fine.
Second Facebook page that said that the officer wanted her dead, and then she died.
Because they're tainted and they can be a little too aggressive. This is where, I don't know if any of the members. Sorry, not seeing me at the moment, but some of you know what I look like, and otherwise, you're seeing me again after this. But is this question authority? And somebody pointed out that could mean that they just fight for equality, and that and for them not to mistreat or be too aggressive with people when they shouldn't be, just because of their profession. And so it sounds like maybe the cop did say something to her, and it impacted her in such a way.
manner in which she did it was one of the more shocking parts of this because she didn't cut.
Anyway, we don't have to hear that part necessarily.
Say that it wasn't entirely clear what she was trying to do. That tells me there probably wasn't a suicide note left. Pretty easy to see how the conspiracy thing.
But doesn't mean it wasn't
but
one.
in my unprofessional opinion, she was struggling tremendously with feeling depressed and lonely leading up to her passing. I think it either became too much for her to bear and she wanted to end her suffering, or she had a psychotic break and delusions caused her to do what she did. Although her mental struggles are an important part of the conversation that we're trying to have, I'd like to shift the focus because Amy was so much more than that. And we focused on that part long enough. She was a talented, eccentric, passionate, and fun-loving person who just wanted to make people laugh. She actually had an impressive vocal range, and many people say that. And she could play the guitar and the piano, probably other things too. She was described by her friends as fiercely independent, wanted to be in control, had strong spiritual beliefs, and was a skillful singer and songwriter. She had more of an unconventional taste in music, which is why a lot of people probably wouldn't like it. And it explains the song that she sang at her audition. She kind of mixes this like feral, heavy vocal with a jazzy folk type melody. She has an impressive music background. She began writing and performing her songs at 8 years old. In high school,
Probably as a way to deal with what she was going through. Plus, she probably had an artsy, creative way about her. And then, it also says something about how she went to like a music college. Do they just think people are lying? Seriously.
Others who would go on to form these metal and punk rock bands until she eventually broke off and flew solo and curated her own style that became even farther from the stereotypes. She focused more on the storytelling aspect.
But it's hard to continuously progress in life
that
sometimes.
indicates that she attended the London College of Music. Let's throw out the bitter woman image that X Factor has created for Amy and replace it with the fun and talented person that she actually was. Back to the question that we asked ourselves at the beginning of this video, is X Factor responsible for Amy's passing? And in my opinion, yes. They bear some responsibility, not solely. The whole situation is a big pizza and X Factor is a slice of it. Horrible analogy.
You never see pizza the same again.
But there's many factors, and X Factor is one of them. They're the reason that she couldn't show her face for the longest time in public. They're the reason that she got so much verbal abuse and harassment online. They're the reason that anytime she put out something creatively, it was heavily ridiculed and judged.
So she didn't seem to do it very much
I'm
on
not saying that without the
YouTube.
X Factor that her musical creations would have went anywhere. I am saying that it brought on a lot of negativity. And
When it could have done something different for her.
likely fueled and made her mental status even worse.
But G will often say that the entertainment industry isn't always easy, and it messes a lot of people up in some ways. And if you're not very strong, confident, but sometimes again you can be too strong and confident, and if the world doesn't, if it's not assimilated in a helpful way in your life, it can actually kind of you kind of gotta simmer that a little bit and kind of be like, find different outlets. Like YT has been a great one for me, and I'm very happy to have this platform to do these on, and so, but it's so, maybe she should have looked at that a bit more. Maybe she should have, but again, after she'd been on the show, she may have thought it was the furthest from the thing that she should do. I do believe that she's right, that it probably contributed somewhat, and that's unfortunate because the more I think about this person, the more that I learned a little bit about her and actually finally finished watching this video, the more it's kind of like, wow, it's really kind of a sad thing that she passed away so young and maybe didn't get to do all the great things she could have done.
Exposed so that these TV shows can learn something. Simply us talking about the wrongdoings are going to help because the contestants are getting their stories out there and sharing their side of what actually happened, and it gives us a different perspective. That's all I have for you today. Please like and comment. I won't have to subscribe because I already did that. So I won't tell you.
I don't think that. Oh, you're back. You're back. But you retracted a message. I'm not too sure what it said. And if that was intentional that you did so. But glad to have you back. You said yeah to something. I'm not too sure what it's yeah to. Haven't noticed the others in here yet. But I am going to be wrapping up soon. I will say that. I have a little bit of time between doing this and dinner, even though I'm just heating it up. But yeah, so, when you look at things from, the perspective that this, I was zoomed in, the perspective that this lovely lady did, when you learn a bit more about somebody, that maybe you don't feel positive things about, maybe you get to, maybe you start to. She certainly left a legacy, and a mostly good one, and that's what we should all be aiming to do. So I'm thankful that I saw her audition. I'm thankful that I kind of have learned a bit more about her. And, in other realmly kind of ways, I know that was said weird, but whatever. That maybe, oh, you did? Okay, you could have waited till after this, but okay. That maybe, like I said, I did kind of feel like it happened once and maybe again. And I know, like if you are back, it's only indicating one person, but you might still be here. Like it looks like you put in a recent comment, Cadence. And if you're back and the others are watching, is that what you were saying? I think. But I wonder if I've actually done what if I've actually just that previous comment that I just, again, didn't want people to misread into, it kind of makes me feel like you haven't really been hearing some of the other stuff that I've said or what this lady just said. But maybe you missed some of that while you went and watched that. When she threw the tag at the judges. Yeah, see, I'd have to watch it again. Let me just pull it up, actually. I don't think I'll show it in this because, that was like an actual TV show that it was on. But I don't really remember that moment, although I imagine it was, when you have a certain confidence and you have a certain ability, and maybe you have had a lot of struggles and you maybe don't also really realize that or feel super confident that even with the talent, even with the confidence, you're going to necessarily get where you, like this one was kind of misleading because of that image, get where you want to in life. And you go on something like that to try and progress in your life. We can have reactions in the moment, and like I say, it was many years later. It sounds like that she passed away, but maybe she tried to do other things, some of which may have been good and helpful for her. And that the judges selected her, and then they broke. I don't know exactly what you're saying by that comment, but
Holistic vocal coach.
What's that mean?
I'm a vocal sculpt and use energy.
right. Well, she's obviously someone that, again, I think that she's quite independent. I think that she maybe that much. I understand that maybe it's in place. I mean, why do you think it is, other than for the fact that, to keep, people like I've seen crazier people than her for sure on these audition shows, to keep them from, getting too close to the judges, but that's not going to do it, but then again, we also see it on like TED Talks or races, right? I mean, it's kind of a staging thing, I guess, a little bit, but, if they're going to, I'm sorry that it seemed to have affected you fairly deeply, as it did many people. But I guess that's the thing, is it's kind of like that mark on the floor is not gonna if people want to and a lot of times they let them when they remember seeing security getting involved, or do I just not remember? I also really love that what looks like a bit, I don't know if it's a knot or a flower, but it's interesting. But yeah, what's throwing me off is the darker, it's kind of interesting, it's kind of weird. The darker hair and that it's not also dreadlocks. Right? And because we're talking about it, and you saw it, but I'll watch the rest later. Yeah, there's all kinds of videos you can find about it. Well, of course there is, but they didn't make, I mean, and unlike some places, it's like, that's the best. I know that they're I'm not saying female they didn't, so it wasn't that bad. Also, when she finally just a moment. Oh, of course, G is singing upstairs. It just didn't quite sound like it was coming from there. I don't know why. Anyway, we're just reviewing some footage from a show and talking about mental health and personality and creative entertainment, basically. And maybe she did. I think it was very real. I mean, part of me thinks that she could have done some of that for show, but no. I mean, so when you grow up, perhaps with parents, when you then find your own personality, though the judges aren't her parents, and it's just a brief interaction, maybe it's kind of like I was at a thing recently. But in some ways it went right. Again, I thought we were on the same page, but then again, you hadn't seen it before. And now it's kind of like, there's all these negative here. And there was a speaker at it who I thought was pretty nice. And I don't remember exactly what she said, but I think she gave a fine presentation. But she made some sort of comment, and I really don't think it was necessary, because it was a mix of ages, anywhere from university students to 50s and 60s. Some people who are doing pretty well in the film industry locally. But I guess, they like to network to just keep up with, the different trends in the industry, and to meet more on that. Although I would stop going to that one event, because then I'd go to it probably. But anyway, and there was a person there. I do and don't think that it has any relevance in me telling this, but whatever, who happened to be trans. She's actually pretty well known in comedy, at least locally, but she's also originally from the UK. No, she Trailblazer, she's fairly well known. I haven't seen a lot of her, but that doesn't mean anything. Anyway, listeners to ask questions and participate in the conversation. And this lady, and that's what she goes by now. I was talking a little bit. This lady, she got quite worked up, and I can't remember all the details of what she said, but she went on for almost 10 minutes. I mean, to the point where I almost thought I was starting to record it, but then I don't know if I just didn't have space. Well, sharing our life experiences, knowledge, having communication, this and that, you know, and have a way of communicating sometimes. And, you know, maybe she doesn't spend a lot of time on YouTube, and it's never my intent to feel like I'm lecturing people or whatever. But I mean, you know, maybe a little, you know. Anyway, but yeah, so she says to this lady, she says, you're talking to us like we're children. And in fact, that sounded a lot like her. And blah, 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 blah. And something about like housing or something. Yeah, anyway. So, but yeah, point of the matter is that, why do I bring this up now? I don't know. Oh, because, you know, basically what it probably brought up for her is just a simple statement that this lady said, and it brought up I'm a grown and independent adult, thank you very much, and you know, and you know, the rest of what she said, this person may not have had any problem with, but that particular statement set her off. And I think we gotta, maybe she regrets that she acted that way before, but you know, again, she's pretty prominently known in the industry locally. And when I went to this, you know, visited there, and she does other media related things to a fairly, I don't know if it's for a network or not, but anyway, and they wanted to elect, and even like I say, the mother I've had, you know, again, I don't think that I can compare to what Ariel probably went through and probably what Laura went through. To be quite honest, I feel like, you know, and then like I say, her upbringing may or may not have had much relevance to her becoming trans. But the point of the matter being is that something that she had said, or they had said to her, probably reminded her of her upbringing and triggered the response. You know, I don't know. I'm just going to delete that comment. I don't want people to think you're saying that I'm trying to be scary. Also could have been a little bit of nervousness. Although, because you know, a lot of performers that, you know, have confidence and perform often still feel the nerves sometimes. And she maybe never done something like this before. Like Simon's facial reactions pretty quickly. It was punchy, that's for sure. She actually holds that note quite long too. And even when she explained her approach, I don't know why, and they're in the industry, and I mean, I would have thought that the response should be, it's really cool how you're looking at this, obviously because of your background. We do see it. But yeah, the more I look at her hair, and I never noticed that the other times when I've seen this, which has been about 2 or 3 times in the past years probably. And I think the lady judges, I'm not sure exactly who they are. I haven't seen much of them. I think they were a little bit overly reactive in a negative way. And then you can see, like some people may say it was smug or whatever, but she was trying to be warm, I think. She says, well, I can't remember exactly what she said, but when she said, "Well, you're obviously not," you know, I guess it's a little bit of sarcasm, but you know, much like this person, but I guess I have similarities in some ways, but and she was on the same show, and she tossed the mic. Her dad had to come out and bring her off stage, and that I mean, these are, you know, when you're trying to live your dreams and get ahead in your life and it doesn't work out, it can be frustrating. If I was in that kind of situation, would I have done that? Would I have acted out in a similar way? I may have said a few things and then went off stage. I mean, not often, but and I almost feel like I dreamed about this. Like it was sometime recently, but I was told that she was trying to be too much like Pink. Well, maybe she did have some similarities. Also, so what? Pink's been pretty successful. She's still her own person, and she wasn't wrong to say that they asked her to sing a Pink song. So she did what she thought they were asking, what they wanted. Thank you for the 15th like, by the way. So, I mean, and then it didn't go well, even though she did just fine doing it, from what I recall. That's a whole other. But yeah, these shows, with what we otherwise see, we don't necessarily know, what necessarily in the process, before and all that, and it can sometimes be important to consider. Like, not exactly the same example, but I auditioned for Canadian Idol many years ago, actually. And so we think that we just go right in front of the judges directly. And I don't know how these other shows are about it, because they might be, I don't know. But we think you just go to the judge. And I've actually been thinking about this a couple of times, 2 or 3 times recently, this came to mind, that you go right to the judges directly. No, actually, you see other like producers or whatever first. Almost envision the one you'd already sang 2 songs, or at least one, for somebody else. So if that's anything like this, then she's actually did make it to stages, which probably also affected her confidence level. It's like, okay, they see it, and then suddenly they don't. And these are the ones you want to impress the most,
If you didn't, it wasn't something to be liked. It was something to be.
I don't agree that it wasn't necessarily something to be liked, but she was trying to go deeper than that. Now I'm just noticing there's yet another element to her hairstyle. Yeah, I mean, she was a decent singer, and like anybody who has it's well known, I think, that even though he judges these shows and he's this and that, and he can be good, and they don't fully hate him, he's not musical. Simon, he's not musical. And I don't know. It became combative instead of saying, well, let's look at it academically. Like, for one thing, they probably took in that you're not a very good singer in a different direction, but instead said, well, aren't you proud? She could have went even more, reactive to it, is what it meant. And then, yeah, a little bit aggressive, but I was surprised she wasn't more aggressive, actually, just kind of. But I don't think that okay, so he did kind of walk off with it, but so I didn't see her toss it. I think she handed it to them, from what I recall. Although I'm still not seeing it, but I'm also not sure if I'm seeing her wearing it either. Yeah, no, I didn't see it. I'm not saying that it wasn't there, and I slightly remember it. But anyway, point of the matter being is I just want to, after all this time and believing in an afterlife, I do believe that, I don't have enough time to really process a full-on, visit with the angel And like the end of that other video said, she was quirky, she was a good person for the most part, but she had some struggles. um, and so I just want to, um, well, she says, well, thank you very much for doing this, um, and for shining a light on it, um, and for all the positive things that have been said. Um, because yeah, she passed tragically. She wasn't that old, and I know not everybody can make it in the same way, but I feel like she already had difficulties she was dealing with her upbringing, with her mental health, and I feel like um, her life wasn't very kind to her, and it didn't. Yeah, so she did what she did, but maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I don't think that's the most important thing that we're talking about here, though. Really. Anyway, so yeah, and it's an example of in a better place now. Because as long as we're all trying to make it a good experience to coexist amongst each other, even strangers, that's the main thing. But the world can be hard, and I mean, only because I could never see myself actually doing something like that to myself, have I not. Plus, I usually, when I struggle, it's usually, you know, not quite to that level, and it's usually more brief. Uh, um, I know. Anyway, but point of the matter is that I'm going to be wrapping this up soon, so you can get on with your evening. I don't know if you're watching with it, but anyway, going to be wrapping this up soon. I will, but I don't. I know it's something that I do talk about fairly often on here, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure if you've been around when I've done so. Out of curiosity. What I in this channel, and I know that people are being positively impacted and appreciating it, whether it's music or otherwise. And so I don't take that for granted. So I do thank um, the fans and followers. Um, and yeah, I'm going to kind of give myself about 10 or 15 minutes probably. I feel like he's been up there more than the half an hour since I said in about 30 minutes, but he gets distracted and this and that. I am getting quite tired though, so I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to um, try and find an appetite. Um, and maybe it gave exposure and gave her, well, it doesn't sound like it gave the latter. It could have, but it didn't. And because of what she was dealing with, she didn't let life go long enough for that to happen. Um, but definitely it did give exposure. Uh, um, anyway, but I just said something else very deep just before that. I'm not too sure you processed it, but you can always look back at it. I really do thank you for your time, though. I really thank you for being here. And okay, yeah, and for the conversation. And yeah, yeah. I think that this was a good awareness video. It was a good tribute. It was, yeah, something that, earlier in the videos, people were sharing a little bit about their experiences and their opinions on mental health stuff. And that was very interesting. And it was, yeah, I appreciate that doing this stream today gave them the opportunity in the space to share their opinions in a positive, impactful, respectful way that yeah, it's I've struggled with mental health for a number of years, And I've been in different groups, I've been in different counseling, but like some of the things that they said, I don't know why, but I've not heard anybody else say them. And we're also circling back around to the beginning and then doing this, and we're about to do the same. Curious what you're having. Understanding, be empathetic. Um, I know it may sound like I'm telling you what to do, but these are important characteristics that make existing in the world amongst each other easier. So it's good to remember them. And it's just these are things that I see value in, and so I'm mentioning them. Um, Whether you feel like it's, you might feel like, well, I already do those things lots. Great, keep doing them. If you might think to yourself, well, maybe I could do that a little more. Great. Start system posted in a few minutes. Okay, it looks like you left. Anyway, or anything else on this channel, the music that I do, whatever. Did a lot of music the past couple days. Tomorrow's a holiday Monday. But yeah, so anyway, wrapping it up. Take care. Bye. Be well. Not to say that you aren't, but always be focusing on wellness. That's what this channel is about.